Here with Jeff Knarr, head coach of the Kings football team, every Thursday morning, 11 a.m. for the Jeff Knarr Coaches Show. And Coach, appreciate you joining us as always. In anticipation of one of the biggest, if not biggest, games of the season so far to this point, as you guys take on Widener this weekend down in Philly. But Coach, before we get to the Pride, we want to take a quick look back at last weekend's home win over Albright and just get your thoughts on how you thought the team played and anything that stuck out to you in that game.
I thought we came out and did what we wanted to do, which was attack them and play fast and start fast. From that standpoint, so offensively, we scored like on the first two of the first three drives and turnover on downs on the other one, and then our defense was on point, forcing 3 and outs early from that standpoint. We thought we had great kick coverage, so we were playing really good football from there. And then they totally changed like defensively. They coming in, I think they ended up in the course of the game blitzing about a third of what they've done the previous 7 games in our one game alone. So like the rest of the half, like offensively we were making adjustments to that, but our defense stayed on point. And so you showed growth in that. They make some changes to claw their way back into the game. The fight that we got to adapt to those changes. So while you're doing it, there's like maybe a law, whatever. There's no sense of panic. Everyone just keeps soldiering on, playing good complementary football. Our defense still did a great job of keeping them out of there, and then offensively figure it out, and then they score, and then to go 57 yards in 20 seconds, whatever, was outstanding, and ended with a field goal to stem whatever momentum that they grabbed back, or even the tied out, get that extra score. And then we talked about too was how to start the second half and be able to come out there and and be explosive in the second half on both sides of the ball. And we scored on our first 2 drives. So the last drive and so we had 3 scoring drives in a row from there. And then again, the defense, was keeping them away. So they were able to, extend the lead from that standpoint. So I thought we answered, the bell on those things, and that were objectives and goals that we hadn't necessarily struggled in the past, from that standpoint, and kind of handled, in game a change in how they had done things from defensively from there. And then offensively, we attacked their offense with our defensive getting to the quarterback. I thought we ran to the ball, really, really well. And defended the pass, really well with 4 picks. Butler did a great job having 2 of them, from that standpoint. And then I thought, we kicked off well. Justin's working real hard and he, consistent there. And then the 10 guys were excited to cover kicks and did a great job because they had taken 2 to the house and one of the best kick return units in the conference. So it was really good to see some of the things we set out to accomplish on Saturday.
Coach, I'd really love to ask you about that decision to try to go for points there late in the first half. You guys had just come off a turnover, kind of a fluky play on that pick by Albright, and you come out. You had a couple timeouts, but what's the decision? Who are you talking with? Your OC there, Skylar, about? Should we just kneel? Should we go for the points? What's the decision making process going into that?
Try to get a feel for of the game, and I know we had timeouts in our in our pocket, and then we had been struggling and trying to figure out what they were doing and knowing that they were heating us up more than they had done all year. But I kind of felt like they had the momentum, and then we were going to get the ball. So why take a knee anyway? We're going to get the ball. Let's be aggressive. Get some timeouts. See if we can make something happen. And they defend the passing, but Tyler was able to, escape. Saw the coverage there, the hole was open, and runs for 16, gets to the midfield. Now, let's be able to take a shot, and then able to take a shot to get it down there from that standpoint. So we're trying to be aggressive and kind of read kind of how the game was going, and I felt we kind of needed to be aggressive in that standpoint, and even though we're going to get the ball, not just go into the locker room from there because we kind of were off kilter a little bit from what Albright had done, and felt we had a handle to make the adjustments, so we're going to do more at halftime. But because we had the timeouts, let's see if we can, make something happen. And then their kickoff, they try to squib it, onside. We got it at the 35, so we were in pretty good shape, to begin with. Let's see if we can get our offense back on track right now and be aggressive. At least we're going to attack Albright and not just take a knee and go in.
Yeah, you talk about 2 players on that drive that was obviously really important, Tyler and Gabe. You saw Tyler run the ball a little bit more last week, even a couple of design runs. Not the biggest runner we have seen so far this year, but a little bit more using his legs. Is that something that you guys want to see more out of Tyler? It's not like he is unable to run, right?
Yeah, no. If the scheme allows it to be there, then we're going to take advantage of of that. And so a couple of the ones that were designed, because the scheme was there to get Tyler, running to take the heat off of our tailbacks in the run game, and they're heating up, sometimes they don't account for the quarterback, in that. And then obviously, he understands scrambles account for a lot of times quarterback run, where you don't need to necessarily build a lot of quarterback run in, because you're going to get scramble situations. So they were playing really coverage and dropping like 3 or rushing 3, and the seam open, and he took off running and got it just past midfield, which set up then the Gabe, and then he threw the ball up there on time, and Air to have a chance for Gabe to go make a play. And, Gabe's a playmaker, and he was able to make a play right there, and then come in and get the field goal was huge for us.
You talk about Gabe being a playmaker. He runs one in last week on a reverse. He actually catches a touchdown where he makes a brilliant move, goes up silent for a touchdown. We talked about it over and over this season, but are you guys just trying to invent more ways to get him the football right now?
Yeah, 5 ways, because he can do things with his feet, and as a receiver, sometimes it's you can't guarantee touches to a receiver, because there's a lot of things involved. People have to help to get the ball to a receiver. So the more ways you can put the ball in his hands, the better. I mean, this 33-yard punt return set up our second touchdown, from there. So, ways to, find ways to get him going, because he's in space. He's got moves to make people miss when he's in space, and then he can run by a lot of people, because he's got way above average speed from that deal. So just trying to utilize his skill set to find ways to get him the ball.
Coach, we talked about it a little bit after the game, just your responses in that game. You guys score right after they score, then you come out and score twice in the beginning. In the locker room, was that something you were talking about with your coaches? We need to come out after halftime and get a score here, and it just worked out where you guys scored twice to kind of put that game a little bit more out of reach. Yeah,
as we talked, because again, the week before, I thought we played a really King's College, how we designed it to play against Alvernia in the first half. Then the second half, things didn't go our way, and then they creep back in the game. So one of the ways you keep team from not creeping back in the game is be able to go out and we're going to get the ball, move it down the field, and get points, extend the lead, and then defensively get a stop and go. So that was an emphasis. I was all week of an emphasis, reminding guys at halftime about that, and then they went out there and executed. Again, shows growth of the team. And that 2 weeks before, struggle with that, and then injuries and other things, and then we allow a team to get back in the game, and then you're hanging on in a battle. And here, game, same kind of team, scrappy team, hungry team, kind of just looking for that first win. They're not going to go away. You got to make them go away, and then that was we emphasized that. And then for our kids to learn from the past, come out there and execute, and then take control of the game was really really good to see, because again, they're showing that growth, learning from the past, building on it, and implementing it, in future games.
Jeff Knarr, Coach Show here on Facebook Live every 11 o'clock a.m. every Thursday morning. We're looking for a sponsor for it, Coach. We'll still figure that out here soon. So, Coach, looking forward to this week. We talked about it. Obviously, we're getting to the season where every single game is important, and this one no different. You guys head on the road to take on a Widener team that is very potent offensively. Great quarterback. McGonkey has been great. Gillespie is shown to be one of the best receivers in the country. How do you go in defensively looking to stop, one of the best offenses in the conference?
Yeah, we want to, kind of do our job, and then kind of build on, the game plan, from the past game. Albright, threw the ball over 40 times. I like to throw it. Jimmy's a tough, quarterback that throws things on time. And, you look at the Widener kid, he's kind of, the same thing, if not, better. He gets the ball out of his hand. He's deadly, accurate. He makes really good, decisions. And then he's throwing, like I said, Gillespie is, an All-American, caliber wide receiver, should be an All-American, when it's all said and done. So, he knows he can go to him, and he's going to go make a play on the ball. But then they have also great complementary parts. They're the 2 tailbacks they play, have speed and power, athleticism. Their line is athletic. So he's got other weapons to go to. So it can't just be about taking Gillespie away. But the key is, to try to disrupt their passing attack, make him throw when he doesn't want to throw it sooner than he wants to throw it, have to come off his top read, those types of things from that deal. So everyone's got to, do their job. We got to be able to get pressure, up front. We got to get reroutes at the middle. Then our, the third level's got to understand it's pass first and not be sneaking up to try to help in the run game, or they're going to throw it over, over our head, from there. So kind of just still assignment football, do our job. Know they're going to get their yards, but try not to give up, those big, big killing, type drive type plays. Like give them big plays, over our top, keep everything in front of us.
Coach, obviously it's the offense isn't really playing against the other offense, but when you go in this game, how important is it for your offense to keep the ball, sustain drives, pick up first downs, kind of control the tempo of the game against an offense that's such a quick strike, deadly offense as you just spoke about?
Yeah, we always try to play good complementary football and feed off of each other from that standpoint. So, Sean can't throw it to Gillespie if they're on the sidelines. They can play catch, but it's not going to matter in a game. So if we can stay on the field, they're not, and that will help from that standpoint. So our offense again, then that's how we build it at every game. Like we want our offense on the field and our defense not on the field. And then when our defense is on the field, they try to get 3 plays and get off and get our offense back on. So the whole grand scheme of how we want to operate doesn't change. It gets heightened here a little bit because this is. He's the top quarterback in the conference. He's the top receiver. They're the top scoring offense, the top yards, per gain offense. So the more of our offense can stay on the field, the better it's going to be, for our defense from that standpoint. So our offense has got to get there. And, the big thing we talk about there is, their D-line is very good. They're strong. They're athletic. They're quick off the ball. And we got to try to control the line of scrimmage and have a complementary run game to go with our pass game to be able to sustain, drives from that standpoint.
Yeah, you look at it, you guys head on the road. It's senior day down at Widener. Should be a great atmosphere, as it always is, down there. And what are you guys doing maybe a little bit differently this week, knowing that it should be a hostile crowd, a big game for Widener, a big game for you guys, especially to stay in this playoff hunt going into next week?
We just reminded kids. One, it's a credit to our kids. We told them, great job that in the ninth, it's the 10th week, 9th game, you're playing meaningful football. So you got to continue to do the things you've done to get yourself here to play meaningful football. And this is, from that standpoint, so there's really nothing new or different, to do. They got to continue to do what they're doing, from there, prepare, practice, and then go play, in a playoff type of a game. Because I guess, if you win, you take another step closer to getting to the postseason. Maybe it narrows the field or clears the picture up for the postseason. Know that if you lose, it muddies the waters or maybe closes the door on the postseason. From that standpoint. So we just try to remind our kids it's kind of like a playoff game right now. So embrace that opportunity. If they go down there, you're playing a playoff game and survive in advance. You win the game, then you've hopefully sharpened the focus of what the postseason looks like, the possibilities from that deal, from there. So, and how do you do it is the same way you got to the point where this is a big game, is preparing, practicing, and playing, well to go out and get the win. So really haven't really done anything different from that standpoint. Just, emphasize that, hey, congratulations, you get the 9th game of the year. You're not playing out the string. You're playing for something possibly beyond here. You're playing meaningful football, and that's a sign that they've done things right, from August till now. And we just need to continue to do that right, finish out the season, the way you began it and have done it throughout, so that you have a possibility of playing in the postseason.
Coach, 2 more questions for you. I had an opportunity to talk to Greg Janik, and just ask him about the toughness of this team. And, he's been saying, hey, everyone's banged up at this point, but you still see guys like really just out there working hard and preparing to play every single week despite, being banged up, and for you as a coach, does it, what's it like to see a team that's just so mentally and physically tough where you know that you've got guys that are going to, go to battle every week, despite being kind of banged up?
It's huge. And part of it is, having a great athletic trade program that we have. Greg, when he talks to the team in the beginning of the first day, he has them all stand up, stretch out, and kind of tells them, now how you feel now is the best you're going to feel until the season's, over. And that's true. And then they work, tirelessly to work with our kids to get their bodies right. And then, we rely on the older kids to show the younger kids that how to work through, you're banged up, you are hurt, but you could, play as tolerated, practice as tolerated. So, they've done a great job of showing her getting there early, getting the extra, rehab and work, and then go out and practice and be able to get the reps that they have. We have a lot of guys wearing, green jerseys that aren't quarterbacks, and the kids know, not to touch them. They get their work in, and they understand how, valuable it is. And at this point in the year, late in the year, they also understand that it's not about the physicalness, of the game. It's the mentalness, the mental part of the game. Their reads right, their keys right, understanding the why, the play, from there, and then they're going to bring the physicality from that standpoint. So kind of a mindset that we've talked about the whole time, that, the to play football, anyone who plays football is tough, and how to work through, being hurt and really being injured. And if you're totally injured, then you're not going to be able to play. And we've had guys, do that, but they continue to work rehab to get themselves back, and that's a testament of the character of the kids that we have, that they want to be on the field, they want to be at practice, they don't like to miss practice, they don't want to miss games, so they're doing everything they can to get their bodies right to go out and play well on Saturday. And then it's a tribute to, again, our athletic training program we have here, that they work tirelessly, go above and beyond, find ways to get our kids on the field. And that's thing that you got to change the young kids in that when they come here, our trainers are looking to help you play and not necessarily say, oh, you're out for 2 weeks and we'll check it then. That they're going to find ways to create a cast, do a tape job, do extra exercises, so you can get a few reps in practice, and that's going to lead to you feeling better, and then you're able to play on Saturday.
Coach, appreciate your time. As always, got one more question for you. We'll finish it with a college football question. A big matchup this week. Actually, two big matchups this weekend. And so LSU, Alabama this weekend, as well as Penn State, Minnesota, 2 undefeated teams, 4 undefeated teams. So give us your picks, your expert picks for those 2 games, big college football games this weekend at Division I level.
Yeah, I think the Penn State Minnesota game will be good. But I mean Penn State. Watch them play a couple times when they're played at night. I mean their defense is insane. And I just think they got to go on the road. But I think it's a day game, right? Mm-hmm. So it's not going to be as cold as it would be at night in Minnesota. So they got to deal with all that. But their defense, I think, is just too much from I haven't really seen a lot of Minnesota. It's a great story, but I think their defense is just too much, and then Penn State will win that game to stay undefeated, to set up for I guess the showdown with Ohio State in a few weeks, whenever that is. The other ones, like haven't seen a whole lot of LSU. Seen Alabama. I kind of like Alabama, so I'm gonna not sure who will win on there, but I'm gonna be rooting for Alabama because I kind of like them maybe more. Not just like LSU. I haven't really seen LSU. I watched them on TV. Haven't really seen a lot of Alabama on TV. They haven't really played at night. Much. On Saturdays, but root for them. Think they can win and see what happens with the playoff picture after that.
Well, Coach, appreciate your time every Thursday morning at 11 a.m. As we prepare for this weekend's game at Widener down in Chester. And Coach, again, thank you for your time as always, and we'll check out with you on Saturday after the game.
All right, thanks for having me.